And what is good, Eagles Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Eagles Top Podcast. We're on episode 5. So today we got a special guest coming in. A lot of people don't see, there's some of these reporters, but we got another Eagles fan in the house, and we
hey guys.
So
what's up?
Not too bad. So for those who are watching, kind of introduced to you throughout this to my Philly sports crew here on the YouTube side of things.
Oh, me?
Mm-hmm.
So, hey guys, what's going on? My name is Deb Whitkus. I'm a 2-time Emmy-winning TV producer as well as a sports reporter. I bleed green. So, I've been an Eagles fan all of my life and go to games. No, definitely friends with some of the players, and just go Birds.
Yeah, I mean that's really self-explanatory, but. No, my thing is it's like I'm liking what some of these, especially these young rookies that we're seeing coming in, like a Jordan Davis, and people always he's been pretty much him and Okubi and Prebbers were the top two players that been kind of talked about, especially in their week 1 performance, and the fact that Jordan Davis is like, he gets against a world welcome by getting triple teams, is like, and just really he just really just seems to me he has no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was a great draft pick. I'm excited to see, what he's going to do. I think how he killed the draft this year. So
yeah, it's crazy looking back the last couple of years. Because the thing about it is just like look at the past couple of years. Is I mean, we always constantly try to put Howie's head on a stake because it's like it's just the amount of mistakes. Now, I will say over the years that have been Howie's been around this organization, he has hit on some gems over the years. I mean, Deshaun Jackson, the second round, the guys, B-Dog, Brian Westbrook.
Yep. Of my favorite. Deshaun Jackson, of my favorite Eagles players ever.
It's just, and the fact that we got somebody like Smithy, and which is funny just to see all the Giants fans pissed off, but that's besides the point. But and the fact that it kind of going back to that draft class with Devontae Smith is one of the guys that's been kind of talked about, along with Patrick Surtain, J.C. Horn. The fact that it's crazy is looking at that side. The fact that we traded for Dallas, probably one of the most hated rivals in the NFC East, but the fact that we got the guys we wanted, it really kind of worked out. But it's like damn, as much as I'm not a huge fan of Penn State as it used to be, I kind of did like Marco Parsons. I was like, do I want to go with a wide receiver or do I go with some of the defensive end? But I think wide receiver kind of made more sense. Something that we really hadn't very long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even jumping to this draft, like I was actually there, so that was super super fun to be there. And when Howie picked AJ Brown, that was like all the rage in the interview room as we're interviewing the draft picks after they just gotten picked. And we're like, I was floored, and coming out of that room, out of that media room, it was basically like, NFC East Eagles #1. So that was the media saying that coming out of this year's draft. So
that's crazy. The fact that we give one of the second first rounders and a third rounder just to get something like AJ Brown's caliber, the fact that we can actually pull that off, I mean. And the fact that it'll give him a 4-year extension too, that really is
like seconds later. It was like 30 seconds later.
Yeah, 30 seconds later here of an extension. That's that's something that's really the way I see it is like, and I like Devontae Smith, but it's just like someone with AJ Brown caliber. We haven't really seen that since the days, and a lot of Eagles fans may not remember Terrell Owens that was with us. And we have not seen that kind of caliber player in years. I know we have gone through so many wide receivers over the years, but somebody like I mean, the only second one that was closest was Deshaun Jackson, but Jackson had a certain skill set that may not rival T.O. because T.O. is pretty much the top tier when it comes to Eagles wide receivers.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Deshaun Jackson, though. I mean, like I said, he's one of my favorites. I actually know Terrell. I've met him a couple times. Great guy, great football player. Was excited to see him at Fan Football. Excited for that catch that he had. So he was talking about coming back.
I will not be surprised for a guy that's almost 50 and still in the greatest shape he's ever been in.
He really is. I mean, I saw him at the SB's gifting suite a month ago. He looks bomb. I mean,
Now, my question is, what's his personality like for something like a Terrell Owens? Because I know Eagles fans would say, he's like this, like egotistical, like the self-centered. Like, what's he like really outside the football field?
I mean, he's actually I have a friend who's friends with him, so I mean, he's always been nice to me. Didn't he was running late that day, so he didn't do media. But I've met him in the past. We've had conversations. He knows I'm an Eagles fan. So, no, I like Gio. I have absolutely no problem with him.
And the crazy part is, and I don't know if this is true, and I want to kind of get your thoughts on it. With him and Donovan McNabb kind of beefing a little bit from when one of those reports were coming out.
You know what? I wasn't in sports media at that time, so I'm not able to comment on that. I don't know, firsthand what went on there, but of course everyone heard those rumors.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, even we had so many different players over the years, it's like, I would never expect something like McNabb. I know McNabb at times had his share of issues. I mean, that's something that Eagles fans kind of criticize. Even though he was one of our better quarterbacks.
He's one of the best Eagles quarterbacks that the Eagles have ever
seen. But I know they're going to be the older ones say, oh, it's going to be Randall Cunningham. It's like,
of course.
I mean, there's an argument to be made there that Cunningham was one of those, specialty quarterbacks that, the 80s have never, that part previous to Eagles football, we never seen. A guy can be moved like, like a Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson, that kind of player. But the fact that Randall Cunningham was one of those quarterbacks can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that just the talent, I couldn't say because I was born in the late 90s. So that was from my grandparents' side.
I mean, like Michael Vick, too. I mean,
I forgot about Michael Vick. Another guy that has done pretty well. I mean, yes, I know the ultimate field issues, but I think he's already paid his dues because of that. I thought he really had a pretty good, how long has it been? Like 2 or 3 years he's been with the Birds? Jesus Christ, it's been forever.
I mean, it's been a long time, but I mean, he was with the Birds for, I think, 4 years, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I mean, the fact, and the things kind of go back to Devontae Smith, the fact that the thing is too, like, I can see there's a little bit of Deshaun Jackson and Devontae Smith, and the way how he kind of, it's just like, yes, I know Deshaun Jackson. I think where does he come out of? UCLA? No, it's not UCLA. What school did he come out of? Oh God, I completely forgot. but having someone like a guy like
he did come out of UCLA. I think you're right.
I'm thinking UCLA because I think with anybody like Deshaun, like a West Coast, with either USC or UCLA, one of those top premier Pac-12. What's going to be left of the Pac-12?
Pac-12, right?
Yeah, it's just. The fact that Deshaun Jackson was a second-round pick is like, really? Like, I still can't believe that was even possible for some like Jack. And I will say, too, the fact that Jackson, no matter
California, Berkeley.
California, Berkeley.
Yeah, I knew he was a Cali guy, but
it's just like there's like so many schools out in California. It's like you're only focused on UCLA and USC. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, just like the fact that Smitty broke his rookie record, it's like, man, that's impressive. No, I would have wanted to see 1,000 yards out of him, but I mean, that's my little bit of a nitpick. But
and my favorite Deshaun Jackson moment, I said this the other day on a podcast, was I happened to be at the Miracle at the Meadowlands.
Oh, Christmas Eve!
I was there.
Oh man,
it's one of my favorite Eagles moments, besides winning the Super Bowl, obviously. But I actually was in LA and I flew in because I'm from Philly. My family's in Philly. I was in town for Christmas and I flew in the day of the game, the morning of the game. And the game had already started and I was landing. And I debated going. So I was like, I'm going to miss most of the game, and something told me to go. Right. So I'm driving up to the Meadowlands. Took me like an hour and a half to get up there or whatever. Hit no traffic. It was cool. Didn't even tell anybody I was going. And I met my friends there who are all Giants fans. And, obviously they were killing us. I was in the end zone that Deshaun Jackson ran into.
Oh, boy.
So the last, 10 seconds of the game when we won, was the most exhilarating thing I've ever experienced.
Oh, boy.
But he actually was like running towards right where my friends and I were, and then he kind of took a little detour, if you remember, and then went in.
Yeah, like kind of like just was toying with the defense, and that's why that's what something about Deshaun Jackson. I think a lot of people love because he knows how to loves to toy with them, especially against the rivals. Now, I will say too, like I thought, I mean, hell, I mean, you look at the Giants, not the way that the last couple of years, but you still had guys like, David Tyree, JPP, Eli. I know a lot of times Eli has gotten a fair share slack because like he's always lived in the shadow of his brother Peyton. But
right.
And I always made the arguments like,
great players though.
You really can. You can definitely make the argument like I think, we don't know Peyton's great, but I still think a lot of times you got to give a lot of props to Eli. He's like, who can say like he's the same one quarterback can beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl? Like who can say that?
Who else can say that? Yep, it's next to impossible to do.
It really is, and I really don't never have hard feelings for the Giants. It's just like, I mean, they always had some great players over the years because my grandmother, God bless her, that she's a Giants fan. She was a huge fan of Lawrence Taylor. I mean, she was one of those. She grew up in that kind of era of football, and being for me because I live out in Jersey, so it's like 5 minutes outside of Philly. So I'm a South Jersey kid.
Same.
So, and looking what this Eagles team is, I mean, especially so far the first two preseason games, I like what we saw at the first and second stringers, but the third stringers, I have no faith in.
I mean, I wanted to talk about that Allen catch. I mean,
oh, good Lord!
I was like,
like,
I love him.
For a guy who has not played football since 2016, and show what he's capable, especially, and then also, I did watch the Penn realize too, and it's like kind of understood what this dude's all about, and the fact that he went for 55 yards, it's like, what is going on? Like, where are we finding these kind of players has not played the game in so long, but they still can keep up with the best?
I mean, and that it's such a crowded wide receiver room, but
absolutely,
it's like I want to see this guy on the team because I mean, if he can do that,
that could be that's going to be really kind of look back
fast
because you can have AJ Brown, Smitty, you can have Jalen Reagor at the slot because I had my share of criticisms of Reagor, and
of course, I mean everyone does.
I think does, and I think Devin Allen, I think could be another guy. I think could be another wideout. Because like I said, it is a crowded wide receiver room. I still think there's a possibility he might, because I think, or I can say this too, like he could be a special teams guy be a kick returner because of his speed. Like can be like that, be like a Braxton Berrios. And I'll admit too, Braxton Berrios is kind of was always been when we played the Jets was a pain in the ass to bring down.
Right. I mean, even that was even thinking do we put him on the practice squad? But then he's going to get taken. So
yeah, that's something that I don't want to see happening.
Right, like, that would suck.
But and looking at what this Eagles team is, and I will say that the fact that they got lucky last year, that should tell you, like,
they definitely got lucky, but the first couple games they were definitely not the team. By the end, they were
until the second half.
Different team. I mean, but they just started running the ball. I mean, that was the key.
Absolutely. It's just looking at what this team, and especially how he has done, especially throughout the draft and getting pieces, like a Hassan Reddick, which I've always been a huge fan of Hassan Reddick. Has gone to school here in South Jersey, a Temple guy, even though Temple football has not been the best, but that's besides the point. But Temple has produced some pretty good players over the years. I like what Sean Bradley brings. That's another guy that's I think has potential to be, may not be a star, but I think that's going to be one of those guys can really help out at being like a role player, so some sort of what.
Yep.
I mean, see with Hassan Reddick, and now the fact you're going to have Josh Sweat too on the edge too. Because you're White, that's another kid. I think the Chargers are really regretting letting go too. Because my buddy Jake the Snake Silva, he loves the Chargers, but he's kind of annoyed that the Chargers let Kaiser walk to Philly.
The Chargers are looking good, though. I was just actually at their training camp, and they looked good. I mean, even Justin Herbert was throwing some bombs, man. So they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I even told Jake this too. There should be no excuses for the Chargers to fall short. No, not unlike last year, which, oh boy, I couldn't imagine the amount of criticisms. And we all know that the AFC West is probably going to be one of the better divisions in football.
It's going to be the best.
It's always.
Let's just say it.
Yeah, because I talked to a couple of Raiders people too. I've noticed the Chargers, all of that. it's going to be tough to. It's going to come down to who's going to want it more. Because because I've been asked like who's going to win the SUS. Like I can't tell you because it's
No one can. I mean,
no, because all teams have gotten better. So it's like it's going to come down to that one last game of the year.
Yeah, I mean Broncos, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Chargers, Kansas City. Like, I mean, it's just Raiders. I mean, what?
Yeah, exactly. But with the way that and this is the thing, just like with the Eagles have what they have done, get someone like AJ Brown, Jordan Davis, and even though I'm when it comes to college football, I am a Clemson guy, so I have somewhat of a rivalry with Georgia and South Carolina too, and I've experienced that. Right,
Clemson guy.
I used to live in South Carolina. I used to live down in the South, so I've been near the Gamecock and during that rivalry. Now I don't remember the older players, but I remember days been to a couple games. It's been electric when the Clemson Tigers and the Gamecocks play. Right. Oh boy, that's it's gonna be interesting to watch. But with someone when I watched how Jordan Davis kind of be the defensive and I said that dude's going to be a successor to Fletcher Cox because who knows how long he's not going to last much longer because usually defensive linemen usually don't last that much long in the league unless God, who's the one I could think of that's lasting longer than anybody because the only one, I can't even think of one off the top of my head. But and it gives them like Nakobe Dean in the third round, which I always thought he was a first round talent. But they say, there was like I don't know. I don't know what was done. The fact that it was like a quote unquote smokescreen of his, fake injury history or something like that. But the fact we took him in the third round, he was another guy. He was one of my guys that I had high on my Eagles draft board was Nakobe Dean. Didn't know Devin Lloyd was too much of a far fetched shot because he was another one that I really liked when it comes to linebackers. But something with. I don't know. There's something with Nakobe Dean. Yes, I know a lot of people criticize he's undersized for a linebacker, but in some of the games that I've seen, this guy can really hit you.
There's a lot of hype around him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the fact that this guy can hit hard at not even under 6 foot and at 220 something odd pounds. A lot of people, it's like there's, I don't know. But I like I said, with Jordan Davis, the fact he gets triple teamed and can know how to beat a triple team, which I don't know. It kind of stands for me. I think he's learned a lot from Fletcher Cox.
Yeah. I mean, I think he can. Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with it. I mean, Fletcher Cox is amazing.
Yeah. And Arku, that's nowhere out of the question. I love Michael Parsons. Michael Parsons has one of the better years that I've seen. Nakobe Dean, that's time will tell. So we're going to have to wait and see. So that's way out of the question.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Parsons, of course, to be reckoned with. Sure.
Even though, Jesus Christ, God bless Penn State fans, got to fucking deal with James Franklin the next 10 years. Good Lord. I think another guy that actually a lot of people don't realize, and I actually had really some high respect for was Trace McSorley, and he's actually doing pretty well somewhere for himself. And, with the way that the Eagles, we get with the crowd running, not running back, wide receiver room, and the running back's going to be an interesting one because, and as much as I like Miles Sanders, but somehow Penn State running backs cannot stay healthy to save their lives. We've seen it with, like I said, with Sanders, Saquon Barkley. It's like if I'm the Eagles, I'm looking at this at how much longer are we going to rely on a guy that just can't stay on the field? Because you got guys like Boston Scott, Kenny Gainwell. Who else am I missing on that running back room? Oh, Jason Huntley. Jesus Christ, I couldn't think of his name. Or maybe, for what we've been hearing, maybe a trade for Kareem Hunt. That could be an interesting, really think, because the way that this team is built. Because, I mean, now the fact that we're going to just have Shane Steichen calling the plays, which, let's be real, that should have been done in the first place. But I like what this team has been going through. Some of the and with the changes. Yeah. And I know this is also going to be one of those years. This is going to be on Gannon too, especially with his defensive play calling, because, oh boy, where do I want to begin with that?
No, I mean, I think we have all the pieces this year. I mean, I think it's honestly going to come down to whether or not Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that's been the biggest question mark. What is Jalen Hurts?
His weapons around him.
There should with some of the teams that made improvements, there should be no excuses. I mean, yes, Dallas is going to be somewhat of a problem, but I don't think they're going to be as. I'm not going to say they're not going to be bad, but there's going to be a bit of a regression. The fact that they lost Randy Gregory, they lost
Mm-hmm.
Who am I missing? I can't even. And all the stuff that's going on with Leighton Vander Esch, and that's another guy that can't stay healthy. These franchise tag their tight end. I mean, it's kind of a bit of a mess in Dallas.
Yeah. Their defense looked really good last year, though. Nobody was expecting it, and they just turned it on last year. So, Jack is on and off. So
yeah, I still feel like and I will say this too, as one of the division rivals, I still think he's still a top 10 quarterback. I went from a statistical perspective, like, yes, I know people say he can't win a playoff game, like. Neither. I mean, yes, I know you can say the same thing with Jalen Hurts, but yeah, that was the first playoff game we've seen.
Right. That's a little different.
Yeah, you should have enough.
What was that contract Jack just got?
Well, then again, you can't say the same thing for Kirk Cousins too. That's another guy that, good lord.
Yeah,
probably.
All my Viking fans are not.
And this is the thing too with the Vikings. It's like, I don't know. They've just always been that bad defensively. It's just like it's ridiculous.
Together.
Because you had you used to have Barr's now gone. You probably Rhodes is gone. I don't even know who else is with that team because it's a completely different team. Yeah. Because you really think about it, because I remember the days of Dante Culpepper. A lot of football fans may not remember him. Randy Moss, probably one of the top receivers in the league. Well, not anymore. Well, still of all time, I should say. Because we all know that Jerry Rice is number one, hands down.
But no questions asked.
Yeah, but I still think. It's just like it's going to be interesting what these teams are going to be looking like, especially with the Eagles. With AJ Brown, because I know most Eagles fans are looking for that game against the Titans. Another team, I feel like I think that team's going to fall flat.
I was going to ask you, what do you think about Wentz to the Commanders?
From what I've been hearing, I don't know. I think it's just like I like what Tyler Heineke is as a quarterback. It's just.
It's Taylor.
Yeah, it's nothing special, but the fact that he got Carson Wentz,
right?
At one point, I thought he was still a good quarterback. And all it's just it's all
injury, or
I think before the AC, I think after the ACL injury was never the same ever since.
I agree.
Because
I was actually at that game that he tore his ACL.
I was like, no, this is the worst time you could have to tear your ACL.
The worst.
But the fact, pretty much as things hit the rest of the history with Nick Foles, and
which obviously turned out to be the right answer.
Yeah, and which is crazy. And I've talked a lot about Nick Foles, the fact that he can't do anything elsewhere, but all we hear he plays well. Mm-hmm. I was like,
I was so excited to see him go elsewhere and to start, and he just.
And I've seen a clip of him with the no look pass in his first preseason with the Colts. It's like, damn. I just feel like I think having with him and behind someone like Matt Ryan, mm-hmm. and plus you got Frank right there too. I think there's going to be a lot of familiarity there.
Absolutely,
it's going
to be. It's so strange too to see Matt Ryan in a Colts uniform.
Yeah, because it's been a long time Falcon, but knowing that just Falcons fans are still never going to live that choke job down because it's always going to be coming down.
Yep. And we'll see what Marcus Mariota does there too. Just see
God bless.
I've followed him since the Titans. We'll see.
It's just and it was just
fits, so
yeah, and it's looking back at it because Chip Kelly is one of the. Jesus Christ! I want to remember that era under Chip Kelly. The fact that he was trying to do everything in his power to get all of his Oregon players in the Phillies, I was like, nope. Even though Marcus Mariota was great, was good in college. I didn't want him here in Philly, but Tennessee took him. The fact that Jesus Christ, it's looking back at it. I'm still kind of annoyed that we got rid of Macklin, we got rid of Shade and McCoy, probably one of the best running backs we had since Brian Westbrook. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was just ugly.
Time in Philly at that point. It was 2-3 years? Chip Kelly was head coach.
Yeah. Before we had brought in Doug Peterson in I think 2016.
Yeah, I've just erased that.
Oh yeah, I think all Eagles fans did because looking at and this is the thing too. And I love Trevor Lawrence. I thought Jacksonville he did pretty good all season. First of all, Hyman Ermeyer, never liked him in college. I thought he was just a complete arrogant. Well, I don't want to, that's where I want to say an expletive, but I don't want to do that. But I have very hard feelings against Urban Meyer. the fact that I don't think he was perfect for Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Trevor Lawrence is a generational quarterback. I think having someone like Doug Peterson and the fact that Press Taylor's an OC, God bless Jacksonville. Oh boy, Press Taylor did not do it. But I still feel like I think Trevor Lawrence is going to take improve this year under Doug Peterson because I think they have a somewhat reasonable.
Yeah.
Now it's just
the Urban Meyer thing just didn't work with.
It was just ugly.
Team, and it was completely ugly for him. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a really good quarterback. He proved that. But I mean, from college at least. But definitely did not deliver on the field. For last season.
I mean, some quarterbacks it might take them a while to. Because with collegiate football, it's one thing, but once you get to the NFL, it's a whole different animal. It's entire. Because I can't say because I mean, and the fact that and not just from Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I've seen like teams like pass up on Aaron Donald. It's like, how the hell do you pass up on someone like Aaron Donald? It'd just be. I mean, we've seen that with the Rams. I mean, the dude's been
powerhouse.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I feel like another one. That's crazy. I mean, it's just
who passed on Aaron Donald?
Oh, geez, there was like many different teams. I mean, because Rams had back-to-back picks.
Right.
I think that was 2014. I think it was. I don't know. There was many teams because he fell to the Rams because the Rams had back-to-back picks in the first round. I don't know exactly what overall, but he fell into the Rams' laps at the time before they actually. I think they still before. No, yeah, this was before they moved to Los Angeles.
In St. Louis still. Okay. Because and that makes sense. And I remember reading something on him saying that he wasn't the best in high school. He wasn't the best, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I
was like, it's just like sometimes I feel like sometimes some analysts, they got to really look deeper. Because, look, I know and I've seen, like I said, I mean, with Nakobe Dean, like I said, it's time will tell with him being a third round pick. But I've seen guys like, the 6th and 7th rounders become like superstars. I mean, we all know that's the superstars are usually the first rounders. So over time, I've seen the most. Let's just say the ugliest of draft bust over the years.
Right. I mean, they're either a bust or they're not. And I think it's actually stats wise, even with quarterbacks, there's more successful second round pick quarterbacks than first round.
That's looking back at it, especially and the perfect example for me was Drew Brees. Oh, Jesus Christ. A lot of people don't remember that Drew Brees was with the Chargers. So it's like, and the fact that when he traded to New Orleans, pretty much the rest of his history. I mean, that he pretty much revitalized football in New Orleans because I remember New Orleans was really bad for a while over the years. And the fact that
where was Tom Brady picked?
He was a 6th rounder, which is crazy back in I was just like,
yep, it's crazy.
Oh, thank you, thank you, Damien. Donald was 13th overall.
Okay.
Yeah, and the fact that and I'll give it, and as much as Tom Brady gets the hate he does, we got to give that man props for being a 6th round pick, and without, and I even said this too, like history could have been a lot different if Drew Bledsoe did not get hurt in 2001, and Drew Bledsoe at the time was a hot commodity for any team that wants him, and just I mean, shit, he only lost in the Super Bowl 3 times, twice against Eli and one against Nick Foles. And it's funny to see that he's still salty about it.
I know.
Still salty about it.
Say he's not. I've never met Tom. I've never interviewed Tom, but it's just funny to me to see, he always puts it off. He's like, no. And Nick Foles is always so cool about it. He's like, I'm sure I'll catch up with him later.
and this is and as much as they hate Tom Brady gets, you got to give the man respect and the fact that he's going to be a Hall of Famer at the end of the day.
Just turned 45 years old. He's going into his 23rd season.
That's
in the NFL.
I'm shaking my head. That's like, how does anybody do that? No, playing more than 10 years. Well, unless you're like Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I even talked to a few people this too about Fitzpatrick. The fact he lasted more after his 5th year in the league, it's like, how the hell is he still around? Being that one of those quote unquote journeymen, it's just like
journey back up, but solid journey back up until obviously he hurt his. Last year with the Commanders.
I think it was, but it was a hip injury last time I remember. And I think another guy and that
sucks seeing him go down because he had never gotten hurt.
It was crazy in itself. Like first game,
quarter, second quarter, whatever it was.
It's just seeing what these teams and some of these players that might not be around. I mean, it's going to suck for us, but I mean, we still because Fletcher Cox might hang it up. Jason Kelsey might hang it up.
No.
And I will say, Cam Jurgens is that going to be that guy.
Yeah,
I think that I do believe Cam Jurgens is going to be that guy.
Yep.
And the fact that I mean, I think he might be a little bit faster than Kelsey. Oh boy, that's going to be interesting to really look.
Can I say that? Can those words come out of my mouth? I love Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, Jason Kelsey is just one of those. And shit, it's another guy. I think another guy that might not last long is Lane Johnson. That's going to be. That's going to hurt. But I'm
excited to see Brandon Grant back. By the way, I'm very excited.
Brandon Grant. I think overall that Achilles injury, Jesus Christ, that Achilles injury screwed us defensively.
Yep.
You know, and it's just I feel like I mean, yes, I know Josh Sweat's another guy that's I think has, you know, really proven to step up. You know, when Brandon Graham is out. Yes, I think we get it. You know, Brandon Graham is a hard place to, you know, fill in because those
are those are huge shoes to fill.
Yeah, it's the same way with Kelsey, Lane Johnson, and Cox. Well, Cox, I feel like overall, I think the defensive line has been pretty good, even with Cox being out. You know, I mean, we do have the guys to fill in. Mm-hmm. I think the one guy that I think I should need to hang up, and that's Jason Peters. Like literally, this dude cannot. And I've been very heavy critical of Jason Peters for the last couple of years. The dude cannot last 5 minutes on a football field without getting hurt. That's just like. And the fact that this is interesting. The fact that he was a tight end in his early career, it's like, really,
right?
Like that, like that's like the most like that blows my mind for a guy that's been around this league. You know, I mean, even though he wasn't really healthy during our Super Bowl, but I mean, he was somewhat impactful until that turf toe, which Jesus Christ. But I mean, seeing what Cam Jurgens do, and I was one of few. I was very skeptical of it because it's like, no. And looking out to see what Cam Jurgens can bring, it could be a center. I think I can see why Kelsey could see a lot of. And there's some limited similarities you could definitely see in Cam Jurgens. I think Jurgens might have a little bit of a height advantage over Kelsey. I still think
Kelsey's pretty tall though. He's a big guy. Have you ever seen him in person?
No, that's the crazy part though. I've never. It's like. It's just I just feel like TV, like the cameras don't do the players justice.
He walks into a room and you're just like, whoa,
like it's
a big dude. They all are, but
it's just like in the fact that we got Kazir White, we're gonna have TJ Edwards. The fact we even got James Bradbury too was like I didn't know how to react. It's like really James. The fact James Bradbury decides to go to an in-division rival at the
right.
I mean, Steven Nelson wasn't too bad, but I think he could be I think Bradbury was going to be a huge upgrade over Nelson because I feel like nobody's going to throw Slade away because you're going to like Slade just pretty much locks that side down.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
And the thing is,
I was going to say, what do you think of what do you think our record's going to be?
Like I made a couple predictions. I think we can go. I feel like our floor is 10-7, but I think our best case scenario is 12-5.
Yep, that's what I was going to go 12-5.
Because it's like I've seen these others, like are really like 13-4. It's like that's possible. I don't see that's a bit of a stretch, but I mean we're not going to. But if we want to get 13 wins, I mean I'll be happy with it. But I think best case scenario is either 10-7 or 12-5 because it's like this is still a stepping stone in Sirianni.
Like I said, I think it. Right, and that's true. I mean, this is only his
going to be a second year.
Season, yeah. And I think it's all up to Jalen. What Jalen?
Absolutely, because I mean, I've been keeping my eye. I've been watching a lot of C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. You have Bryce Young from Alabama, and there was another one I can't think of at the top of my head that's coming out in that. He's like the third best quarterback prospect coming out of college, but I can't remember his goddamn name at the moment.
And we're hooked up at the draft to get a quarterback.
Yeah, as much as I don't, well, I know people who are huge Michigan fans that want to take a shot at Ohio State. The thing is about with Ohio State, I want to see Ohio State quarterbacks succeed because there's always that myth that's like, Ohio State quarterbacks cannot get it done. Thank you, Will Levis. I couldn't think of his name because like there's just
thanks, Ryan.
Oh, good Lord. Because I like what Bryce Young brings. I think he could still be one of those.
Yep.
could be one of those top tier quarterback prospects. I mean, see,
Justin Fields came out.
Justin Fields went out from Ohio State, but the Bears
Bears aren't using him to his.
No way.
Not showing what he can do. I was a Justin Fields fan when he played in college.
Because I'm good friends with Gooley. He's a Chicago Bears fan. So man, God bless your sanity.
Yeah.
And I have met with Gooley too, and a couple Bears fans that because the McCaskey's got to go. I'm sorry, that's the ownership has just not done anything to really help that team succeed, and especially Justin Fields, because that's a premier talent you're just wasting away.
Completely wasting away. I would love to see him go somewhere else because I think he can actually flourish. Like you said, Lawrence.
I mean, and then you have one of your better linebackers, Roquan Smith, once out, but Gooley actually brought up a point that Roquan Smith made the dumb decision not to have an agent, and that's the reason why I feel like, because if he did, I would not mind having another linebacker over here. Because let's be real. I mean, the only other somewhat a decent linebacker we had was Jordan Matthews, and that was oh boy, that was not great, but it wasn't too terrible. It was not in that great to above average ballpark. Hey, man, we're just being honest because the Bears are not the offensive line, and
he's trying. He doesn't have the team around him. He doesn't have.
It's like we're like, and the fact that the Bears have been around for this long, and the fact the only fact you won Super Bowl, and we know Bears fans back in 2018, we win it by
the Bears fans are so passionate too. I feel, but I used to live in Chicago, so I'm friends with a lot of Bears fans.
I've seen it watch one of. I haven't watched Bears games, but I think when they have it on NFL Network, I can see a lot of times. And I've seen some Bears super fans too. They will go out of their way to, I think all fan bases do it, but not as much as how the Bears just kind of, even though.
Yeah, sports is big in Chicago. It's a sports town. I mean, Wrigley and probably more so with MLB than NFL, but they're out there. It's freezing cold in that city, and they're out there watching those games, and that's an open stadium. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same considered here on the East Coast too. It's just like, I've
lived in both, and Chicago's way colder than Philly.
Yeah, well, I couldn't say because I've never been to Chicago. But looking at like I said, the way that some of these teams are going into, this new year, I mean, we all know the AFC. I mean, minus the AFC West, because there's tremendous talent way over there. I mean, just keep that out of there. But seeing I feel like the Eagles have done pretty well. As much as I hate to say, I think Dallas might, even though they might take a step back, but I think they're still going to be good defensively. I feel like offensively, that's going to be up to a question mark because. And I love CeeDee Lamb. Don't get me wrong. I like what he brought in at the college from Oklahoma. I think that's where he went to school. But the fact that, you get rid of Cedric. Oh, what the hell's in it? Oh, God, I'm really drawing a blank here. Cedric Wilson. Jesus Christ. Cedric Wilson Jr. to the Dolphins.
Right.
And then and Michael Gallup can't stay healthy. You trade Amari Cooper for pennies on the dollar. I mean, it's going to be.
I remember when that trade came through. I was like, "Wait, what? Why?"
Exactly, and it's just, Dak could also be a question mark too. I think even though statistically he's a top 10 quarterback, but when the games counter most, we've seen it time and time again. He can't get it done.
Yeah, do you think the Eagles have the NFC East number 1 seed, or
I think they can have it, but it's going to be very close.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not going to be the point where they actually run away with the division. It's going to because we've looked in the years past -2. I think there's like a couple years where Washington took the division. It's always been the Eagles.
They took it last year.
Yeah, Dallas took it last year because we got the wild card.
Yep.
Somehow by the skin of our teeth, that's like. Because, as all Eagles fans know, we never had expectations going in that make the playoffs. Like, it's, it is what it is.
Well, you kind of always do, but you kind of don't.
It's just one of those things. It's like, the fact we also got help from the 49ers, too, to get into the playoffs. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, It was very ugly to say the least. Because man, I was ready. Because I was one of many to write off the season after a 2-5 start. It's like, man, this shit's gonna be. This is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But then we come to find out that the fact that they're running, the fact that we ran over a lot of teams is impressive. And then we come to find out later that's also, and that was Shane Steichen's idea. It's like, why can't you let this man just do
his job?
Exactly. I mean, you got a offensive coordinator for a reason, which is something that we haven't really had. Jesus Christ, who am I? Had in a long time. Defensive coordinator, we haven't had a bad defensive coordinator since Jim Johnson. I will say that. It's just like we've been through so many different offensive coordinators. It's like we've gone through
head coaches. So,
exactly. I mean, we went through fucking Buddy Ryan.
Oh wow, going way back here.
And Jesus Christ, Andy Reid, and Buddy Ryan. And we got Doug Peterson. Now we got Sirianni. Oh Jesus!
Chip Kelly's in there too.
Oh, why do I even want?
I know we all. Was there.
Yeah. It's just. I mean, there's a couple older ones I can't think of on the top of my head. I mean, we've been through so many different head coaches over the years. And Dick Vermeil. How can I forget about? Yeah. How can I almost forgot about that because who can remember it in the movie Invincible? I mean, you really. And the story of Vince, and I know Vince Papale's son has done really well in the USFL. I mean, because I have a couple buddies of mine that are actually very good personal friends with the Papales. It's like a little lucky, but I mean, the fact that he actually does pretty well, and just and seeing what this Eagles organization is, as old as it is, as crazy as looking at it since 1933, and even though except for that 1 year we had. Yeah. Okay. And yes and no. There's one or two things that was one of him. I feel like his play call kind of was. I think overall, it just. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Andy's with Casey, and that's the reason. That's sometimes I can't hate Casey. Sometimes it's because of Andy Reid, because that's something that I've seen over the years as a young Eagles fan since the 2000s. It's like and a lot of people too. We had some very underrated role players too. A lot of people don't remember Sheldon Brown in 2007. Lit up Reggie Bush against the Saints. Another guy, let's be real, should have had to get that man's Heisman back. I'm sorry. That's my biggest nitpick with college football nowadays. Get Reggie Bush's. But it's just, we had it's just like, this team, there's some good, the bad, the ugly. Oh, good Lord.
I mean, the Eagles have been through it all.
Yeah, well, unless you're like the 2020 Eagles, it's yikes. But I will say this too. I think another team I want to see win the Super Bowl is the Bengals. Because let's be real, you got somebody like Joe Burrow and actually way better offensive line than he was in this rookie season, which always was my biggest nitpick with the Bengals. And the fact that he
didn't win it, I mean, I was crushed when his first season when he got hurt.
And I was like, damn it!
I was
I literally felt want to bang my head against the wall. So I was like, it's just like you got one of the generational talent. That's the fact he could actually still translate from his days in college to the NFL. Now actually having it, let's be real, probably one of the best wide receiver trios that we've seen in a very long time. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and now Jamar Chase. Oh, good Lord. That's and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, Chad Ochocinco was really not that bad during the dark days of the Bengals. Oh boy. But the way that kind of go back to the Eagles, it's like that's something I feel like it's crazy. It sounds. I feel like kind of Howie Roseman kind of looked at the Bengals. It's like, okay, we're going to need someone to complement. No.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's where my brain was kind of telling me because we got Quez Watkins you can use as an outside, can be like a kind of Tyler Boyd outside slot receiver.
Yep.
And we need somebody to complement with Smitty, and that's why I think where AJ Brown comes into that picture. You can have two wideouts, something that wish we could have done. Not fuck up Aguilar, but unfortunately that was the case. But it is what. It is what it is.
I mean, he's fine with the Patriots.
Yeah,
playing much better with them than he did with us.
Yeah, I think we actually balled out with the Raiders, and that was crazy enough as it really think about it. And it still pains me the fact that teams still lapped us. Is like and we know that Justin Jefferson mishap, but I still feel like I think all Eagles fans know. I think how he redeemed himself after that, getting someone like Smitty, and the fact that we actually have a lot of depth in some areas. Now I will say too. I mean, I like the linebacker core. I still feel we could add a little bit more. Maybe another. I think another safety could have been an option.
Mhm.
And I've also hearing that Jesse Bates might sign a franchise tag. That's what I've been seeing. Because Jesse Bates is another one I would not mind having the Eagles green. I mean, look, Avonte Max, I like what he has.
Mhm.
Getting Jaquiski Tart, I mean, I didn't really expect that to happen on a 1-year deal from the 49ers. Looking at the cornerbacks, it's like, I feel like the only one I feel like I could say, that might be a bust. I know it might be sound like a stretch. It's Kayvon Wallace, because I just feel like Kayvon Wallace has really not lived up to a fourth rounder, I think it was, but I really can't remember off the top of my head. But and the fact that I like and was seeing what was Zach McPherson is capable of, I like with that, because I think there's something there with McPherson,
Mhm.
and I think learning from some like a guy like a Bradbury and Slaves, I think that can really help with these young cornerbacks, and the fact that even with the linebackers, I mean, you got Hassan Reddick, who's been around the block a handful of times, another guy that's been a good mentor. So some of these younger ones, like a Kaiser, I mean, I know Kaiser White has been in the league for a good chunk of time, for as young as he is. And we got Marcus. No, well, Marcus has more of a safety, but I thought Marcus had a really good year last year with the Eagles as a safety. But with the way, like we all said, it's going to come down to Jalen Hurts, because if it's not the guy, we have 2 first-round picks going to the next draft class. So it's or one of two ways it could happen. Or if we don't wind up getting a quarterback and try to improve our needs, why not run with Minshew? Because Minshew actually can be the one.
I'm a big Gardner Minshew fan. So
yeah, well, I think everybody realizes he's the Uncle Rick.
right. I'm not sure if I like him because of his playing on the field or just his mustache.
Yeah, but mustache mania. But we're looking what this team has done. Yeah, like we said, it's gonna be should be no excuses for Hurts. I mean, like I said, this is a ride or die year for, and I even said this too. This is I'm giving this kid one more chance. Now, from what we saw in training camp and stuff like that, hearing like that, the fact he's also kind of put on some size, which let's be real, that should have been done. I think that was a smart decision first before anything else. And the fact he's want to work with guys like H.
He's a great athlete. I mean, he is an amazing athlete, focused, and and I have not met him nor interviewed him, but no, I mean, the kid's a beast. I just worry.
And the work ethic is second to none. It's just like we said. I mean, the fact that he, seeing that, and from what I've been hearing, that he has a better deep ball accuracy is which was one of my biggest nitpicks with him. Because I mean, the arm strength is there. It's just can he be accurate with the deep ball? Because you got 2 guys that are number 1 wideouts, and AJ Brown, who has a couple of 1,000-yard receiving season under his belt. You have Devontae Smith. That's another guy that's a potential 1,000-yard receiver. And you can have guys like Rager can at least have somewhat of an above average year. With Quez Watkins could be another slot receiver.
Yep.
I think we could definitely have at least a good wide receiver core. Maybe with somewhat above average backups at best, unless you have Devin Allen there. That would be another interesting thing too. Because
Deion Kane's performing too.
Wait, who?
Deion Kane.
He's with us. What the hell is that?
he just did something in training camp.
Oh, gee. See, that should tell. It's just who are these coming out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Just and balling out. It's just and that's why I think sometimes I feel like that's what I think the Eagles really do well. It's just you want to try to find that under the radar type of talent. I mean, we saw it with Devin Allen. Right. I didn't really have a feel about it. So a guy that has not played football since 2016, was an Olympic runner, but the fact that we see him with the kind of speed that he has is I'm all for that.
And they let him go. I mean, I think was it OTAs he missed to compete in World
Championships? Yeah. I think that was the Penry. I think the Olympic trials or the qualifiers. Unfortunately, he got to DQ. I was like, you cannot. That was one of the biggest. But and then seeing him,
it was a false start or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It was, and automatically got him disqualified. But the fact that there's talent with Devin Allen. And Brendan Covey's another one I think that could be an interesting case to be made for the special teams. Because I still can't trust Rager out there because well, we've seen it.
We've seen it.
Yeah, the fact that like you put him right in the bread
Yeah.
basket and it hits him in the face. It's like how do you miss that? Like that's one of the biggest nitpicks. Like if you have right your bread basket and you can't catch it, then we got a problem. Like that's something that because Braden Covey, I think that he can be an interesting case for a special team team with Devin Allen.
Mhm.
Because if you can have, because like I said, with Braxton, and I made this comparison with Braxton Berrios, so there's another guy that's that Devin Allen type of receiver. The kid's got great speed, and unfortunately, that kind of ran it back to the house when we played the Jets. But the Jets are just the Jets. It's nothing going to change.
Jets, yeah.
And the fact that and we made the and with the colleagues here at the Spotlight Sports Network, we made this acronym with the Jets that just end the season. That's pretty much what the Jets are. Like that's just like you have.
I mean, there was some hope there with Zach Wilson. I felt bad when he got hurt. Hopefully,
but it's just and I will say this too. I'm still kind of pissed at Quentin Williams for taking that. I could say a little bit of a cheap shot in the week one. Like that should not have happened.
Yeah.
I know mistakes happen in football, but come on now, that's preseason. But
yeah,
I mean, the Jets do have some really good talent on that defensive line. Don't get me wrong. Quentin Williams is a good one.
They got Sauce too. Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner. They got and they got Garrett Wilson.
Yep, they had a great draft too.
And it's just like when I see this, it's like one or two things was kind of going in my head. It's like one, they might move on from Denzel Mims because I feel like Mims I think has turned out to be a bust for them. Or number two, they might put Mims in a different role, probably be like a special teams guy because let's be real, if you're going to have someone like Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, and I don't know who they're going to have at the slot receiver, but I think they got something there. But I still feel like they're going to, as crazy as it sounds, I think I still have them finish third in that division because I feel like, I mean, geez, who else is in that division? That's Buffalo. They're the same. Oh, right. Yeah. That's they're pretty much. I still feel like, as crazy as it sounds, I still feel like Miami's going to finish second because that's the Bills division all the way. Because who could say you could have Von Miller? The fact they got Von Miller, and that's another, I think, a team that could be a Super Bowl favorite. Because who can say for a team that has been in the Super Bowl 4 times and has the most shit luck in the Super Bowl in the '90s and lose 4 straight, which is if you really think about it, that's embarrassing. I don't know. Like, I mean, you got Josh Allen. I think is still a top 5 quarterback. You got
absolutely.
You got Stephon Diggs over there.
Yep.
Crap. Who's the other wide receiver? They got some good players. It's like it's hard to name all of them.
It's hard. It's hard in general because you have.
But I think they got a very underrated running back in James Cook. That's going to be another guy. That's going to be one guy I think that might go off for the Bills, which is as crazy as it sounds, as good as fundamentally sounded all around. It's like the fact that they were like one running back. Wait, it's just like I really still can't see a good team that's like one offensive position away from a Super Bowl. It's like that doesn't really make sense to me. But
I actually had the Bills in the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, so my buddy mentioned that. And I will say too, that's probably and I want to see the Bills and Chiefs in every single postseason game because they know how to put on a fucking put on a game, in the postseason. It's just like, and you have guys like who came out of the woodworks, like a guy, Jesus Christ, what the hell is his name? He had a 4 touchdown game. I can't remember his damn name now. Came out of the woodworks for them, for the Bills. Oh, I'm drawing a blank there because
I know who you're talking about too. Wait.
It's driving me up a wall. Because it's like
looking it up.
I can't think of it, but I mean, with the way that this Bills team is kind of built, that's just scary. That's going to be a scary team to really look.
Gabriel Davis.
Oh, that's Gabriel Davis. Oh, geez, Gabriel Davis. That's one name.
42-36 overtime loss to the Chiefs.
Oh,
I remember that game.
That was probably one of the better games that I've. And I know a lot of. I mean, with the Chiefs too, it's just like, get like guys like Juju, MVS, because I feel with Tyreek Hill is one of those special receivers. Like you're going to have that hard production to replace because let's be real. I mean, you have a couple because he's up with the likes with, Devontae, because we all know that Devontae is still one of the top receiver in this league. But then again, you can definitely make the argument Tyreek Hill is up there in terms of the type of production. I mean, you can flip flank them back and forth because I think they're still a top 5 receivers. I mean, and the fact
what about Marquez?
Marquez, well, I really can't say for sure because I never watched any of these other games for the Packers.
Got it. Well, he's with the Chiefs now.
Yeah, Chiefs. I think he was because Max covers TV, who's a Packers fan. From what we have heard from him, is like he's an above average receiver. I think he's more like built like a slot receiver, something that's which I feel like Juju for me just never liked him because I feel that dude just knows how to just blah. No, I mean that's just who Juju is. And don't get me wrong, and people a lot of times are sleeping on George Karlaftis. That kid's going to be a monster. And same with Trent McDuffie. A lot of people don't realize that Washington knows how to develop great secondary pieces. Trent McDuffie was one of them. And, I mean, like we said, it's going to be tough coming down to the wire with the AFC West because that's going to be a gun show. I mean,
it's. Can you answer it?
Oh, that's tough. I want to say it's like it depends. Like I said, it's going to be a tough because I want to say the Raiders because I feel like
that's where my head just when I was like,
it's going to come to as much as because I know the Raiders have been through so much the last couple of years from the John Gruden BS. Then he had Henry Ruggs going with this. That's just like. And the fact they still made the postseason after that is like, I mean, you got to at least, and the fact that trading two picks against a top 5 receiver in Devontae Adams and give him a payday, which nowadays we're seeing wide receivers getting that kind of money because, when Devontae signed that contract, that kind of reset the entire wide receiver market. Now we may see some other positions that the market might change, basically for quarterbacks, because I mean, we see him. I don't think who got it. I don't know. Because I feel like there's going to be some other ones. And I will say this too. I still feel like Russell. Oh, geez, Russell was going to be. It's going to be an interesting case for the Broncos because I mean, guys got like Jerry Jeudy, Hamler if he can stay healthy. Another guy that from Penn State. There's a couple of ones I can't think of off the top of my head. You got Patrick Surtain on the defensive end, even though he has gotten burned. Well, I mean, at least Devontae Smith could say that he kind of had that on. And don't get me wrong, I like Surtain and JC Horn's another interesting case because even though he is my college football rival, because coming out of South Carolina, but I think let's be real, I think he'd have done better with a better team because let's be real, the Panthers ain't going to go anywhere. The fact because we don't let Matt Rule, let's be real, that was a horrible contract to get Matt Rule for a guy like Matt Rule, and the fact that Jesus Christ, and I love Baker Mayfield too. It's just a mess. It's just like, I think after Cam Newton left, I feel like the Carolina Panthers has not been the same because I feel like Cam Newton really defined or pretty much represented Carolina football. You mean you had. Now I will say
Ron Rivera was there too, so
yeah. And a lot of people don't realize he was with our organization for a good small period of time, which I so completely forgot about that. I really completely forgot.
Was it with the Panthers?
No, with the Birds for a little bit.
Oh, he was totally with the Birds. He was.
I completely forgot about that.
He was one of the defensive coaches.
One of the assistants. I think it was.
Yeah,
and I think he's still a good coach, but it's just like, and I've also heard that he might be on the hot seat for Washington.
I agree.
That could be an and there's some coaches I think they're on the hot seat. Matt Rule's pretty much is the most number one. We got Rivera too. A lot of people at times are they're not going to get, and I've seen people say, that Dan Campbell should be on the hot seat. Give the man a chance. Because that Detroit, I mean, I like what Detroit has done in the draft. It's just like, like and this is why sometimes football.
Game 1.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. But I still think Detroit, with the team that they have, I think they could win 7 to 8 games at best. I mean, I still think they have the talent to do it. It's just I feel like the ownership over time just really, it has not really done anything to help. Especially you already had 2 Hall of Fame players and they're retiring their primes because of your ineptitude because of that. And the fact that you had and I did talk about this in the video that, the fact that Detroit had to force Megatron to pay his signing bonus back to the organization. It's like, what sense does that make? Like, exactly. And it's just, let's be real. I don't think Jared Goff's the guy for them, but it remains to be seen. If he fails, I think if I'm Detroit, go look for a quarterback, because you got someone that can Aiden Hutchinson. I know, a hometown kid, played in the University of Michigan, and the fact that, like I said, I mean, 9 games. See, I think 9 games will be
9. Yeah.
Hey, it's possible. I mean,
I
well, like we said, I mean, time will tell. I mean, it's just like we're gonna see what Aiden Hutchinson can do. Because TJ Hawkinson's a good tight end. I mean, the fact they got Jameson Williams too, and a few other receivers. I think they got all the pieces to work to win between 7 to 9 games. But I still think they're going to be last in the NFC North, because I think that's the Packers division for sure. Mm-hmm. But the Packers is going to be another team I feel like that might take a little bit of a step back, but I might completely bite the bullet, because I don't want to bet against Aaron Rodgers, and we've seen the time and time again you bet against him, and the fact that and jeez, I just remember like it was yesterday with him and Brett Favre going, and that. And then how much Brett Favre did not like having Aaron Rodgers as his backup. That was crazy enough in its own, because you have, and with the Pack, and which is crazy enough, the Packers, the only community-owned franchise, which is crazy to really think about it, have three potential Hall of Fame quarterbacks to produce 2 Super Bowl rings. Mm-hmm. That should tell you, I don't think Matt LaFleur is a bad coach by any stretch of means. No. I don't know. I don't get it. Like how. Like, and we've seen it the last couple of years that the Green Bay Packers fall short. Yeah. I do not get it. You have all this talent, and you completely exactly on your own home field at Lambeau.
And I was actually the one person who I was like, "There's no way the Rams are making the Super Bowl." Dead wrong.
Yeah, I mean the fact that when they swapped, and and I'm really happy for Matt Stafford too, because I've always liked Matt Stafford. It's just like Detroit
wasn't a good fit in Detroit.
Because Detroit really never did anything to help him, other than the fact he only had one good.
Goff now either. I mean, we'll see what
Yeah, well, like time will tell, and time will tell with some of these other quarterbacks too. I mean, Jared Goff, I think, could be on his last leg in Detroit, and you had guys, and the fact that Daniel Jones is still getting chances, like the dude should have been gone after year 3 if he couldn't produce. So I mean, and plus you got Brian Dable coming in, so. Really don't hate the Giants, because the Giants are always been the laughing stock of the NFC East. But I still feel like I think there'll still be somewhat. What's that?
Do you think they're going to be last place? Do you think it's going to be?
I think they're going to be. I think the ooh.
So I mean, my prediction at least, I think it's Eagles, Dallas, Commanders, Giants.
I think Giants are going to be a 3rd place team. I think they have gotten a little bit better. Now the thing is, it's like why I can say that's because Kenny Galladay's got to live up to that contract, because that's a horrible contract they've given Kenny Galladay. Kayvon Thibodeau, I like because who knows what's going on with Kayvon Thibodeau with that sprained MCL. I mean, Evan Neal, I think that kid's going to be ready. It's just the quarterback. I just feel like I still feel like the Giants. I mean, defensively. I don't know, like without having, even though they have Wink Martindale, that might change, because I mean, they had Patrick Graham, but now he's with the Raiders, and we're going to see what the Raiders are going to do, especially defensively, bringing all of that kind of scheme with them. Even though, let's be real, I mean, the Giants were kind of pain in the ass defensively against us, but then again, we kind of and that's another thing too. I want to try to nitpick with the Eagles. Try not to play low to your opponents or not, or like below average. Not like the Giants, not the Commanders. See, Commanders, I think, because if you really look at the NFC East, I feel like 1 or 2 is going to be the Cowboys and Eagles. That's always how it's been the last, the majority of the time that I remember, other than the Giants did the 2011 and 2010 to 2011. And that's another good point from Damien. That's another good point. The Giants, everyone's got to stay healthy. That's always been the biggest key.
Yep.
Now it's just like the NFC East has always been the Cowboys or the Eagles division, minus 2010 to 2011. That's when the Giants were actually pretty good. Right. I mean,
and the Commanders 2020, they took.
Yeah, a lot of Eagles fans want to scrub that out of our mind, out of our brains. Good Lord, 4-11-1. Who the fuck did we tie with Cincinnati on that? Yeah. That was bad. That was really bad. But looking at it, I still think, with the way that the Commanders are, and from what I saw that Chase Young might not play, that might start on the pup list. That's gonna hurt a little bit.
Right now.
That's another guy I very have hopes for, because I've always liked him in college. But it's very unfortunate. I think with Wink Martindale coming in for the Giants, I still think defensively, I think the Giants might take that third place spot from the Commanders. And the fact that you have and I saw Sam Howell produce, or
Sam Howell's killing.
That is good. That kid's gonna. Ooh, man, that's
he's up and coming.
Yeah, that's gonna be another guy that I feel like that's. Ooh,
Heineke's gonna back up Wentz. That's hands down. But
yeah, because I feel like Heineke I think he could be somewhat above average elsewhere. I think, or who knows if Sam Howell can.
Do you think Heineke can go somewhere else?
I think so. I think he still has talent to go elsewhere. Absolutely. Because.
I mean, he's super tight with Scott Turner, though. Like Scott, he's worked in Scott's organization, for a really long time. So
yeah,
it might be a little strange for him to go somewhere else, but he can definitely do
it. There's a possibility there, because if Sam Howell can keep throwing the ball that he's doing, I would not be surprised if Ron Rivera will give him the nod, and just because let's be real, if that was the case, then Washington is going to have to deal with that exact same crap that we had to deal with when Wentz was here. Now I will say too, I don't think Wentz is a bad quarterback. Like I said, not a bad quarterback. This dude, and Damien said Heineke to Seattle. You know what? I could definitely see that. Ah, Jesus Christ, Seattle. Where do I want to begin with that organization? Good Lord.
The fact today, I think something about Jimmy Garoppolo might be going to them.
Yeah, I've been hearing that. It's just
Browns too. They're for 11 games.
Yeah, Jesus. The only other two quarterbacks the Browns have, they got Jacoby Brissett and Josh Rosen of all people. I was like, oh, Josh Rosen. How the hell is he still in the league? That's another guy. He's
actually from where I live. So he's from.
Wait, Cali guy?
Yeah, he's a Cali guy.
I think when he came out, I don't know. There's just something he was way too cocky, and I just did not like that about Josh Rosen. And I feel like overall, I think the Cardinals rectified that decision with getting Kyler Murray. I think that's another guy.
Where is he?
What, Josh Rosen?
Yeah, where's he? He's
with Cleveland.
He's with the Browns. Okay.
Yeah, because when Deshaun Watson, because it's mostly they're going to be going with Brissett from what the Browns are going to do. I think with Seattle, because Garoppolo, that's going to be a very interesting case to really make, because I'm trying to think of other teams that quarterbacks try, because let's be real, look, the fact that Geno Smith still has bounced around the league as long as he has is, after the puncture lung incident, which that should not have happened. Like, how the hell does that happen? That's something that's really ridiculous. Drew Lock is
Drew Lock. No.
Oh, good Lord.
Well, I'm going to throw something else out here. Cam Newton still doesn't have a home. Is he done?
Right.
Is he not? Is he going somewhere this season?
Because he also did. I think he also said at one point, who knows what his future holds? Because you got to think too, quarterback. Because I know he's already getting up there in age. Sometimes quarterbacks can't produce unless you're like Tom Brady. I played until they're 45, or like Aaron Rodgers at 38. But it's there's only Father Time can do so much to some quarterbacks. It's just and I liked Cam Newton earlier in his career, but the biggest problem that I nitpicked with him was in the Super Bowl. Should have dove on that football. I'm sorry, you're 6'5" and you couldn't dove on it.
Huge.
That was ridiculous. I
have a funny Cam Newton story. I actually was at the Sports Illustrated party at the Super Bowl in Miami, and he rolls up, and we were both waiting in line to get into the party, and he literally just towered over me. I was like, hey, Cam. He's like,
damn, that's
me.
It's just we're looking what and I don't think really Cam. I just feel like over time we saw and even the injuries took this toll on Cam Newton's body. At the same time, it's just Cam has not been the same since then. It's just a shame, though. That's the guy that just
he hurt his shoulder at that Eagles game. That they came back from behind and
I remember that he had a shoulder problem.
Mm-hmm. And it was, I forget who tackled him, but that ruined his really hurt.
Yeah,
he wasn't the same after that.
Yeah, it's just
And then
it's a shame though, man.
The first game of the preseason, he hurt his foot. Like,
It's
the
just
preseason game, he hurt his foot, and he was out for like the entire season. Kyle Allen had to take over.
and we all know that, and that was a Ron Rivera guy too at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the kind of the hype he had around him when he was with Washington. I think this was prior to before Heineke even was pretty much took that team to the postseason in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like even before Terry McLaurin, and trust me, that I love
McLaurin. Oh my God, scary Terry.
And the fact that prior to him signing the extension, it's like if Washington let that man walk, oh boy, that's gonna spell trouble for them.
Done. They were done.
Yeah, because if you're
wanted to be there though, like that, he kept on saying, "I want to be here," and you knew they were going to work something out.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact you still have Dan Snyder as your owner, oh good lord, that's another issue. That's I don't think there's really no words to describe just how bad the ownership is, and the fact that their stadium is just below average at this point. You have like Jesus Christ! I remember one game a sewer pipe broke, and I think
field collapsed.
Yeah, they almost hurt Jalen Hurts, and I saw one of my high school buddies too. I went to high school with. He was at the game, and I saw him. I was like, man, how? But the fact that to try to sue him, so it's like, first of all, that's your problem. You should have the money to invest to fix the damn stadium. And I also saw like a gravity, like many quarterbacks or players got hurt. So I was like, that's a freaking death trap for a lot of players because it's just like we've seen countless injuries at FedEx Field. It's like and I saw the design of the new stadium. It's like, man, it looks like a goddamn potato chip. The way the new stadium design was. I was like, who in the right mind would design that? But I mean,
Allegiant Stadium in Vegas looks like a huge spaceship.
Most of it call it the giant Roomba.
That's true. That too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, but I mean, it's still. I think Allegiant Stadium it's still a nice stadium, though. I mean,
it's very nice. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, even with the Raiders when playing in Oakland, it's like, man, that team's got to get out of Oakland because Oakland has not done well for them, and the same with the Oakland A's too. That's another team that need to get out of Oakland, but Oakland ain't gonna do nothing to do it. It's like, man, first of all, the Alameda Coliseum is just not great for what I've been told for people who lived in Oakland. Like it's a complete shit. It's not like it's just not great. And the fact that you have stadiums like that just no longer exist. What's the point of having? Yeah. It was just bad. But
glad to see the Raiders get to go to Vegas. I think it was great for the city. I think it was great for the NFL. Can't wait for the Super Bowl to be there. Not this year, but the year after. Obviously it's in Phoenix.
But the thing was too is just like with it was a good idea at first, but looking at there's going to be some downsides. We've seen that with especially not just
the prices of the tickets.
That too, and players are getting in trouble. We saw it with Alvin Kamara. We saw it with Henry Ruggs, Damon Arnett. Like, yes, I get it. That's the state's tax.
That's
true. Yeah. But I mean, overall, you draw the only team prior to the Raiders going there, the only team that actually took that city by storm was the Golden Knights in the NHL. Mm-hmm. Even though not being a hockey fan, because the Flyers are absolutely why would I want to? Because I can't trust the Flyers, but I really can't. But yeah, but it's just this season's going to be very interesting, not just for the Eagles standpoint. No, we've seen for the NFC West or the West Division. No, there's the AFC with the Rams. I think the 49ers are now going to take a step back a little bit because it's going to have Trey Lance because, it's
a lot of pressure for that guy.
Yeah, but I think I still think he might be ready. I still think that because I think, and that's another thing too. I think
I'm excited to see where Jimmy Garoppolo goes.
Because Seattle could be an option. Cleveland could be an option. I mean, damn. But I still feel like Heineke. See the fact. Man, I'm so. I feel bad for Seattle fans. Good lord.
Yeah.
Man, you have a good wide receiver and duo in Lockett and DK Metcalf, but your quarterback problem is just horrendous. Mm-hmm. And I think over and shit. I'll say this. Put this on record too. I think Pete Carroll is outdated. I think his coaching style is outdated. I mean,
you're not the first person to say that.
Oh God,
I've heard that.
Probably dumbest decisions in Super Bowl history and not give it to Marshawn Lynch. That still rubs me the wrong way to this very day. Like, how do you not go to beast mode on a 3rd and 1 at the 1 yard line? Like,
everybody was screaming that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
time. Can only move forward.
So Blue City, he's a Giants fan. So as the NFC, I think overall, like I said, I think the Giants are going to do. I think if I wanted to put it the way that that's an interesting one. Jimmy G to
Atlanta, but they have Mariota.
They have Marcus, they have Mariota. They might go with Ritter. I mean, who knows what Atlanta's going. That could be an interesting really thing about. Kind of go back to the NFC East before we wrap it up. Is that I know because the Eagles and Cowboys got a little bit better, and I feel like so did the Giants to a certain extent. I mean, the Wan'Dale Robinson pick, I know that was a little bit of a stretch, or a bit of a reach, I should say, because I mean, yes, they could definitely use a receiver because Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney, whoever the hell they have on the wide receiver core, it's just has not been great. But I will say too, the fact that they started addressing the offensive line, which I think the Evan Neal pick, and let's be real, and since with Gettleman retiring, and as much as like I said, I never had hard feelings towards the Giants, but I just kind of feel bad for them, especially for the way the ownership in the front office has not been the best since in about a decade. It's just been not just for the Giants, but just the city of New York in general. You have fucking Jets only has one winning season. That was under Rex Ryan. And you had, Mark Sanchez. I forgot about Mr. Butt Fumble in Philly. I forgot about that. I want to get rid of that memory.
I almost forgot he was on the Eagles.
It's the same thing with Sam Bradford. A lot of people don't remember Sam Bradford was here. God, and that was bad.
It absolutely was.
But the fact that, they had so many important changes, let's clean up, basically just almost clearing house and actually made the right hiring choices. I think that I can still think they can still finish 3rd place because I think with the Washington Commanders, I feel like, and I've always picked this with Wentz, even with his time with Indy, like he has a tendency to play hero ball, and it cost him some teams games, especially a team against Jacksonville. You should have beat the Jaguars, but it's like, nah, you had to play hero ball. That's always been my biggest issue with Wentz, was because of that. And the fact that the Colts have not beaten the Jaguars in about 15 years, that's embarrassing. That is embarrassing for that. But I think overall, I think the NFC East is going to be pretty competitive, but not onto the level as because it's not like how with the because the AFC West is pretty much outside the. It's just like we're
everybody hits the playoffs. It's all fair game.
Yeah, that is true.
So,
but yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up there. But Deb, appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely, this was super fun.
Yeah, for the last almost hour and a half. But yeah, so yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for another Eagles Talk podcast, episode 5. We're gonna be interesting to see what the Eagles, not just the Eagles, but any other team in the NFC and the NFL is gonna go into 2022. But with that out of the way, Deb, I appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk over some football a little bit.
This was super fun. And guys, also follow me on at Sport Report Deb on IG.
Absolutely.
If you have any questions, reach out to me there. We've got tons of interviews coming up with players and a ton of sports stuff coming up on my IG. So
that's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to check out. And well, we're going to be looking forward to some NFL season because I know I'm getting kind of bored with baseball a little bit, but. Right. With that being said, we're going to pull out of here. But Deb, appreciate you take the time.
Thank you.
Because it's been a while since
we'll do it mid-season.
Absolutely. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy where in the East Coast, West Coast. Well, I know the West Coast, you guys are lucky because you're 3 hours behind us, so you still got some. We're not going to have much daylight, but that's really a nitpick. But with that being said, with that out of the way, appreciate you everybody coming in. Deb, I greatly appreciate it. We'll talk together soon. Try to get anything else. You want to try to do this again? Yep, you always hit me up.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. I'm game.
But yeah.
All right, go Bird.